This is me, Haley, and this is my husband, Ryan. And this summer we went to 50 states in 50 days. We stayed in the coolest Airbnbs, posted 50 YouTube videos to his channel while fundraising for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and it was awesome. As most of y'all know, I typically stay home while Ryan travels for his videos, but this time I was on the adventure with him. But I still managed to read some pretty awesome books in some beautiful places, so please enjoy what I read in 50 states in 50 days. The first time that I reached for my camera during this series was on day 8. I wanted to take the entire first week just to get the hang of what driving would feel like in filming for Ryan's channel. So I finished a book on day 1 that I'll talk about more, and then started this romance book between a director and an actress called Real, which I continued to read whenever I had little pockets of time. It's day 10 of visiting all 50 states in 50 days. I'm currently in Oklahoma in a tree house.
Oh my god!
This might be the coolest Airbnb we've stayed in so far, at least. I got to make my dream come true of watching a movie on a projector outside. That's genuinely been on my summer bucket list since I was 14 years old, and it happened today in 2025, which is pretty cool. But so far, I have managed to finish one book, Cover Story by Vari McFarlane. I finished that on day 1 because I was already 275 pages through it, and then while we were waiting for the Acorns AC to work, we sat in the car and I finished it then. And ever since, I've been trying to fit in reading, but very slowly because I haven't been reading in the car that much, and then otherwise we're pretty much filming the whole day. But the book I'm reading right now is called Real by Kennedy Ryan. This book was not on my radar at all. Kennedy Ryan was, because I've been wanting to read a book by her for a very long time, but my friend Ashlyn and I did this TikTok reel together where we put 10 different book names into a jar and then picked them, and the last one that we got is the one that we're reading. So we're buddy reading this book together. And so far the writing was beautiful right off the bat, and the premise is really fun too. We're following Cannon, who is a movie director and he's very critically acclaimed, and then Neva, who is an actress who currently does plays, but Cannon may or may not want to cast her as the lead role in his new movie. And we get both of their POVs, which I haven't read a romance book like that in a long time, and I am 30% in, which is pretty good because, like I said, haven't had much time to read so far. I really like Cannon and Neva. I like their personalities, and I feel like the setup has finally been set up at the 30% mark, so now is the opportunity that I'll have to see if I really enjoy the story. I really have no idea. I'm going to read in a treehouse tonight, and I will update you in whatever state I'm in next. Ryan is riding his electric e-bike, and then we're gonna get in the hot tub, so I'm reading while I wait for him to do that, and I'm sitting in this chair and I'm reading Real. I went back to it because I don't know, something about the vibe. Maybe I should just see this through and keep reading. It's day 16 out of 50 of going to all 50 states in 50 days. I'm in St. Augustine, Florida right now in this really cool container house. The entire thing is made out of containers. Look at this beautiful coffee machine. I made this coffee. Doesn't this kitchen just give you like iCarly vibes? Like Spencer made this house for sure. But I have some reading updates for you. I also have a book sleeve update for you. I don't think I've shown this on camera at all, but by the time I'm posting this video, it'll probably already be live. This is my 3rd iteration of a book sleeve. I added this loop on the side so that you can carry it like this. We have the front pocket and the zippered main pocket, but this time the inside also has a pattern. So this one is like a striped green, and that stripe pattern is in the pocket too. And there's 2 other designs that were from an old collection, but I made them into this new upgraded book sleeve with the stripes on the inside. In terms of what I've been reading, I thought I was going to DNF Real by Kennedy Ryan because it was getting pretty spicy, but then it would be nighttime and I would have 10 minutes to read, and I didn't want to like think about getting a whole new book, so I just would open it back up on my Kindle. And now I'm 62% through it, and I still really like it, but I also, every time that I read it, I'm like, am I gonna DNF this or am I not going to? So we have a mixed relationship right now, me and this book. I can tell she's a really great author. It's just definitely like a spicier romance, which is not typically my thing, but I do really like Cannon. I also like Neva, and I have heard that Kennedy Ryan writes a very like realistic and healthy romantic relationship, and so far I do agree, which is refreshing to see, because times when you think that they're gonna fight, they end up just communicating, and you're like, oh, this is actually refreshing for a book. So So I think at this point, I'm just gonna finish the entire thing. But in the meantime, Taylor Jenkins Reid's new book came out and I really wanted to read that. So we actually stopped at a local bookstore in Alabama. It was very cute. It was called Paper and Palette, and they actually had a signed copy there, which was really cool. So I got Atmosphere, her new book. Here's her signature. And I'm about 20 pages into this book. It's definitely very science heavy right now, which isn't a bad thing. I think it's actually pretty cool how much she had to research to write this, but I'm excited to get more attached to the characters and see where this is going, because I really have no idea, but I just trust this author that she's gonna take me on a good ride. Carrie Soto is back. Her tennis book still lives in my mind as like one of the most unique characters I've ever read, and I just loved how rude she was to the point of making me laugh out loud, because I think it's a risk for an author to make a character rude or bold because people can call them unlikable, which is true, but it made for a hilarious, entertaining read, and you still somehow root for that character. So very great author. Those are my updates. It's day 16, so we'll see when I finish another book, but we're also listening to the audiobook of Sunrise on the Reaping together when we're in the car, and we're probably like 30% through that. So still getting some reading done, which is pretty shocking, honestly. I'm in North Carolina and I'm currently on a boat. Crazy sentences every day. I did officially decide to DNF Real by Kennedy Ryan, but I read more of Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid in the car today, and it's getting so good. I'm starting to highlight a lot of quotes, which is a really great sign. The way that she crafts characters with these very realistic nuances is so impressive. We're following Joan, who is going to be an astronomer for NASA, and you can tell she put a lot of work into trying to make it accurate. So there's a lot of technical things to read, but I feel cool reading it, like I'm learning something. It doesn't feel too bogged down because the character development is also happening at the same time.
Have you ever met Miss Lindy? She's a gal with the bright red hair. Now she stands high from all the rest. You know her anywhere. Well, she's mine. Yeah, she's mine. Well, I love that little
Good morning from West Virginia. I know you can't really see me, so this is a little bit ominous, but today is the day that my book goes live for pre-order, and I am so excited and so nervous. So I'm gonna start the morning off with some nice, relaxing reading.
Just friends.
That's what we are.
We are just friends. This book is so good. I've only read chapter 1 and 2 of this book. That's all Haley would let me read so far. But oh my gosh, so good. And over the past year, I feel like she's just told me little plots of what's going on in the book, and I'm just like, oh, that's so good. It's a very happy day, very exciting day. I'm so proud of you.
We made it to the Virginia Airbnb. As you can see, it's an A-frame, and there's this like floor set bed at the very top, which is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I feel like a 2015 travel blogger right now in the best way, like a pinch me moment for sure. But like I said, it's day 22, and I wanna do a rapid fire recap of what I've read so far because it's been kind of a mess, to be honest. On day 1, we drove 3 hours to Dallas, and I was already 75% through Cover Story by Vari McFarlane. This is an early copy that she sent me, which I'm very grateful for because she is definitely one of my top 3 authors. She writes literary fiction, women's fiction with subplots of romance, and they're always my favorite books ever. But I got to finish this on day 1, and it was 5 stars for sure, if not 6. I want to reread it because this had such a fun, fast-moving plot of a journalist trying to take down the mayor, and she gets herself in very, very, very sticky situations in order to do so, including fake dating the intern at the company. Every decision the characters make puts you on the edge of your seat, and I was flipping the pages so fast, and the romance is always written so well. It's usually a very, very, very slow burn all the way until the end, and it had me laughing out loud like her books normally do. She is Scottish, so if there is lingo that you don't understand at first, that is why. Reading her books feels like reading inside jokes that you kind of have to get used to, and then once you're on the inside, you think it's hilarious. Highly recommend this when it comes out. So far, this is the only full book I've read. It's also the only physical book I brought on the trip because I'm not gonna be able to go home with a ton of books. So then we move over to the Kindle. Then I was trying to read Real by Kennedy Ryan. I thought I would put it down at 34%, and then I read all the way to 66%, and I've officially DNF'd that book. Then I picked up Taylor Jenkins Reid new book, Atmosphere. This is way more of a literary fiction book than I was expecting, and the reason I DNF'd this one is because because it got so emotional. I was crying reading this in the car. And during this trip, the vibe that I wanted whenever I picked up a book was like a fun escapism romance book, and me actually crying, I was like, okay, I need to put this book to the side for now. So I got 54% through Atmosphere. Putting that to the side, I will probably finish that after this road trip. So then, now, finally I can tell you that I'm reading Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. This is her new book. I am 57% through it. I'm kind of cooking, feeling very good. She's the same author who wrote 7 Year Slip, which is one of my favorite romance books ever. And then I read The Dead Romantics by her, which the more I think about it, I really enjoy that book. I gave it 3.5 stars because the middle gets slow, but the romance really eats in that one. And then A Novel Love Story, which came out last year, I really didn't like. So this one I went into hopeful but trepidatious a little bit. And it did start a little rocky with the main character being very cocky. He's like this famous ex-boy band member, kind of like a ex-One Direction guy, and he just comes off very cocky. And then you're following Joni, who is a songwriter, but she is burnt out and she can't think of a new song to write, and she has to move back to her small town in North Carolina because her mom is developing early onset dementia, I believe that's what it is, which is really sad to read about. I read that for the first time in Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and I found it so sad. So I was a little bit worried going into this because I was like, I want an escapism, not sad book at all, and this is a little bit sad, but I'm 57% through it now, and it's okay to read. New angle for fun. Her books always have some sort of element of magical realism in them, and I forgot that. Wasn't really expecting to see one in this book, but there is one. Basically, she starts hearing the thoughts of a different person, and that other person can also hear her thoughts. Now, it's always really fun because there's not really an explanation to how the magic works. It's just kind of a fact of the world, but it's not annoying that you don't know. It's just kind of fun. It's just like, yeah, she can hear someone's thoughts. Cool. In 7 Year Slip, the apartment would travel backwards in time or forwards in time by 7 years. Is there ever an explanation for why the apartment is magical? No. That's fine. In The Dead Romantics, she can see ghosts and talk to them. Now, maybe if you come from reading like only fantasy books, that would annoy you that there's not a reason why this happens, but I feel like as a romance reader, it's just this element that's really fun and makes you turn the page faster. And I thought this one would actually be a really cool element because the way that a romance would bloom, normally there's tension because you can't tell what the other person is thinking. They can tell what the other person is thinking. So I was really excited to see how that would play out, and I'm still watching it play out obviously now. And then Ryan and I are listening to Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. It's the new Hunger Games book during our drives, and we only have about 3 hours of that left. Everyone has told me that it's really sad, so I'm glad that I have Ryan along the journey with me. So we will see our reaction to that. Hey Mitch is currently in the games right now, so I'm curious to see what happens. Day 22, we will see when another book gets completed because I have read a lot of half books. Hopefully this is the second one that I read fully. Good morning. It's day 24 out of 50. We are currently in Maryland. I'm standing in a barn, but a very modern barn, as you can see. Yesterday, I finally finished Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, making it the second book that I've read in 24 days, but not bad because Sunrise on the Reaping I'm almost done with. I would say at the beginning of the book, Sebastian, the love interest, gave me the ick because he was very conceited. And then in the middle of the book, when the magic starts happening where they can hear each other's thoughts, that was my favorite part of the entire thing. And the build up to them wanting to actually meet each other in person, that was like the best part of the book. I almost even thought that whenever they did meet in person, it would be like a mail movie. Nora Ephron, Just Got Mail. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like that movie Just Got Mail, where they see each other and they just think that the other person happens to be in town, but they don't realize that they're the ones in each other's heads. Although that would have been super hard to pull off because they're in each other's heads, they would have known. And then at like 75%, the book just started to go downhill for me for whatever reason. I'm not sure why it was starting to fall flat, but it did. And then I kept thinking it was the last chapter, and then there was like 3 chapters after that. When you're reading on Kindle, you genuinely don't know when the last chapter is unless you check. Yeah, I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars, which is a very high rating still. It's just crazy though because 7 Year Slip to me is like almost a perfect book. So maybe my expectations are just really high. I enjoyed it while it lasted. And there was some spice, which I can't remember if other books have spice or not. To pick a new book, I'm finally going to read one that I've wanted to read for a very long time. We're taking a hard left turn. I'm going to read Recursion by Blake Crouch. This is like a sci-fi mystery. Honestly, I don't even know what it is. I'm gonna start it and then I'll let you know what it is, but I'm reading it because my friend Ashlyn absolutely loves it and I just need something different. I started that last night. I did have a nightmare for the first time, so hopefully it's not because of this book, because chapter 1 does start off with a, well, can't really tell ya, but I'll let you know what it's about once I find out. We made it to Delaware and it is pouring. I'm just reading in the car. Hopefully it stops raining and then I'll run into the Airbnb. I'm reading Recursion by Blake Crouch right now. 5% in, an hour left in the chapter. Holy cow.
Afraid, emotions getting in your way. Afraid.
We just arrived at the prettiest house I've ever seen in my whole life.
Afraid to commit, and don't call me in the middle of the night, and say that you're not able to be loved. That's not right.
It's 9:30 p.m. on day 25 out of 50, meaning we're exactly halfway through. We made it to New Jersey today. We're in a cabin house on the lake, and in my opinion, so far, this might be the prettiest place that we've been to, which is saying a lot because Colorado was insane. So many places were beautiful, but this is like a dream house. Like I feel like I'm on Architectural Digest right now. But as you saw, I was having a very relaxing time to myself, journaling, taking in the view, and unbeknownst to me or Ryan, someone showed up to surprise us. I'm peeing in the bathroom with a window facing the outside. Suddenly I see a Ferrari pull up. Out walks Dr. Mike and two cameramen. And this episode is crazy, so I feel like you should just watch it for yourself. Basically, he wanted to give us the car to sell, to donate to St. Jude, which is about $70,000. So he did that. We had to spin the wheel of doom and we finally got the split. So if you haven't seen the series at all and don't know what I'm talking about or seen that episode, you should definitely go watch it. For me, it hasn't happened yet. That's my tomorrow, but I am genuinely so nervous about that tomorrow. But in terms of my reading, I had told y'all that I had started Recursion by Blake Crouch. I read the first chapter, which starts off a bit dark, and I had a nightmare that night. Am I blaming it on the book? No, but I haven't had any nightmares since. Basically what I'm getting at here is I think I'm gonna love the book, but I need a different vibe right now, which I feel so bad introducing books and then just being like, I'm not reading anymore. But I really am craving something else. Maybe an adventure book, maybe another rom-com. I would love to read something set on the lake or like a summery farm. So that's what I'm searching for. But it's so weird not being at home and seeing my TBR because I just have this device in my hand and I'm like, what should I do? Go on Instagram to figure out what book I want to read next? That's where I'm at. I'll update you when I find something to read, but tomorrow's the split. So I'm not really thinking about reading right now in this current moment. I am kind of because I always am, but I'll see you tomorrow. Day 26 in New York. We survived the split.
Yay.
And during my time alone, I actually went to Barnes & Noble and I bought A First Time for Everything by K.L. Walther. And it's got cute little sprayed edges and I started reading it. We're in the coolest cabin ever. It looks insane. It is day 29 now. We are in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Not the Cape Cod that you have to take a ferry to get to, but Buzzards Bay. So we survived the split. Now we're in New England, which I've been waiting for this since the start of the series. And Nick DiGiovanni just cooked us a lobster bake and that was delicious. But look at where we're staying. We're in a lighthouse. And this is just like my Pinterest board that I've had for years come to life. I can't believe it. And I went to Dunkin'. The cookie dough syrup is actually insane. Dunkin' has been so hit or miss until this syrup. They've been consistent. And I'm 123 pages into this book, which feels good because it felt like I could not finish a single book. I think I'm gonna finish this one. I'm liking the storyline so far.
I'll be around, yeah. You're not scared of love, just scared of love. Alright, alright, enough. Just tell me if you want my love or not, or not. 'Cause I don't wanna be that one. Still a million miles from you, yeah.
Hello from New Hampshire. It's day 20. No, oh my gosh, it's day 31. We are in the 30s now, but I'm about to finish this book. I've been picking it up every single second that I have free, which just goes to show how much I'm enjoying it right now. I've been trying to be off of my phone more, but this book is making it honestly easy. So I'm so excited to finally finish another book, and I didn't realize, but a young adult one is kind of just what I was looking for right now. Day 32 out of 50. I am in, it takes me a second, Vermont. If you asked me where I was 2 days ago, it takes me 10 minutes to figure that out. It's so pretty here. We're staying in a glass house. It's practically invisible from the outside. It's crazy. And I'm wearing this hat because the bugs are crazy. Don't mind the Wheel of Doom. I wanted to film this book review outside because it's gorgeous, but those flies are ruthless. I finished A First Time for Everything by K.L. Walther yesterday. My cute special edition. I bought this during the split, so it is now one of 3 books that I have on the road, which is still too many because I have to ship them back at some point before we fly to Alaska and Hawaii. But I'm excited to have this in my collection because I love The Summer of Broken Rules by her. It was one of my first summer 5-star books. And then I read What Happens After Midnight by her, and it was like a 3-star. It was fun. But in this one, we follow Madeline, who is 17 turning 18. We follow her over an entire year, so there's like inserts of every season. And her older brother Austin is getting married to Katie, and she doesn't really know if she likes Katie that much, but she ends up making Madeline a bridesmaid anyway. So she's trying to get along with all of these like 20-something girls, and they're all big fans of The Bachelor, so they decide to pretend that Madeline is on The Bachelor pretty much and set her up with dates all the way up until the wedding so that she has someone to dance with at this wedding. And it basically ends up being a bunch of dates and a love triangle, and it was so good. It was really just what I needed. I didn't realize that I was in the mood for a young adult book, but everything that I had been describing to was like, this is making me too sad or too emotional, and I just want something very like out of my actual world and lighthearted. I want the problems to be trivial, petty drama, stuff like that, and a young adult book tends to deliver on those things. It didn't end the way that I quite suspected because she doesn't like Katie at the beginning, and so the family drama that happens did keep me guessing. I really didn't know which way it was gonna go all the way up until the end. It was a slow start, but then once I got into it, I was really into it, and like I said yesterday, did not want to pick up my phone, which was amazing. So I think I'm gonna rate this 3.75 stars, which is a high rating. It was a really great book, and I'm really happy that I've finished another book. I feel like I haven't been finishing that many, and then I immediately started another one, and I didn't know what to read, and I feel like we're all in the new release slump where like April and May and June, every new release from my favorite authors ever comes out, and I read all of them, and then after I'm like, what's on my TBR? What am I actually gonna read next? So I DM'd one of my favorite booktubers, Emmy, and I asked her what some of her favorite indie published romance or fantasy books that she's read recently are, and one of the books that she recommended was Fighting Spirit by Anna Harrison, which I had seen somewhere on her YouTube or her Instagram, and I fell in love with this book cover. She has frog feet, which is intriguing initially, but it's because she's a mascot for a college football team. So that's Ruth's POV, and then for the guy's POV, Rowan, he is about to be the coach of a rival football team. So they really should stay away from each other. It is such a college romance, which I'm just also in the mood for like light, fluffy college banter and problems. I downloaded that this morning and I'm already 28% through it, which is so fun. I love reading books from authors that I've never heard about, especially indie published authors. That's just so fun. Sports mascot romance. Like I would have never thought reading about something like that would be so fun, but it is, because I think she just writes in a really funny way too. So that is going great. I feel like I'm out of this weird reading slump that I was in. I saw this graph the other day. You've probably seen it before, but it's kind of the cycle of quitting and starting things over versus actually seeing something all the way through. And I feel like in this video, I was falling into the like getting halfway through a book, getting 60% through a book, and then just dropping off for something shiny and new. And now I'm finally completing books again. Because I'm not gonna lie, even with this one, I was tempted to quit it at the beginning because I was like, oh no, what if it's not gonna hook me? And you kind of just get scared that you're gonna be bored, so then you just quit. But if you keep reading, at least with this book, it did not disappoint. And then the satisfaction of finishing a book just leads you to start the next one with a running start. Hopefully that helps you if you're kind of doing the same thing that I've been doing, picking up new books and never finishing them. My Kindle just recommended me my own book. That's so crazy. Let's see what happens if I click on it. Whoa, that is tripping me out. I can read the description. That is so trippy. It's not mine anymore, it's the world's. That's so scary. It is day 37 out of 50, crazy number. And we are now in Illinois, specifically Chicago. We're staying in what was a factory at one point, so it's so cool. Like all of the furniture has to be massive because it's just such a large space. I did not realize the gap between clips because I was about to review Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, and I haven't even reviewed Fighting Spirit by Anna Harrison. So that was such a fun college romance. It was her debut novel and it was self-published, which I think is all very impressive. I wanted to pick up the book initially because I love the cover so much. The frog feet just really captured my attention. I was like, I need to understand the plot of this book. The first chapter is super engaging right off the bat, and I think my favorite part of the whole book was like the first 50%, but I think it definitely did everything that I wanted to because I was kind of in a reading slump, and then that book I read in 2 days. So if you're looking for a fun, fast, lighthearted college sports romance, the main character also has ADHD, and there was some mild spice in the book. So I think I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. It was everything I was looking for at that moment in time. And then changing gears drastically, I was randomly recommended a John Green YouTube video, and then I was like, oh yeah, I used to love reading his books. When I was a kid, I read The Fault in Our Stars like 3 times. I read Paper Towns and Looking for Alaska, but I've never read Turtles All the Way Down. And he does tons of interviews where he talks about how he used his own experience with OCD to write the character, and they also turn it into a movie. So I thought it'd be really fun to read the book and then get to watch the movie. And the second I read chapter 1, I was like, this is what I want to be reading right now. And now I'm almost done with it. So I'm gonna finish it and then give you my review, which I am very excited about. This book takes place in Indiana, and I was in Indiana when I started reading it, and they even mentioned a highway that I'm pretty sure I was close to. It said I-469 and we were on I-465, which is pretty crazy. Day 40 out of 50. That is crazy. We're in Minnesota right now. It is so beautiful here. This house used to be a pump house for the water system. I didn't even know what that was before we showed up here, but it's right on Lake Superior, and it's so cool for me to see this with my own eyes because one of my favorite books is Beach Read by Emily Henry, and that book is set on Lake Michigan. So people always say, why is it called Beach Read if it's set on a lake? And then you see the lake and you're like, that's totally fair. At least in my opinion, this thing is huge. But I'm in my pajamas today because not only are Ryan and I doing the split because we hit $5 million in donations for St. Jude, we also had to spin the Wheel of Doom again, and we got jammy time all day. So before that crazy day happens, my review of Turtles All the Way Down. I feel like I don't even have enough time to review it because I just want to talk about it for way too long. But what the book is about, you're following Aza. She is a teenager in high school and she struggles with OCD. And the thing that she is particularly obsessive about and fearful of is contracting C. diff. C. diff is some sort of overgrowth of bacteria in your gut, I believe. And I don't know if this is completely accurate, but in the book, she talks about how if she gets it, she'll die in 4 days. I don't know if that's an exaggeration or not. I'm sure cases can be different, but in her mind, she has contracted it somehow and she will die in 4 days. And so she's constantly thinking about bacteria. She's thinking about this cut in her finger that might be infected. And so she's constantly reopening the wound and then fearing that it's infected and doing this whole cycle all over again. Now, the actual plot of the book is that there's this billionaire who has gone missing. And if you find him or have information to find him, you can get $100,000. So Asa and her best friend Daisy decide that they should go try to find this billionaire because they know the son of the billionaire, Davis, from childhood, and they both need the money. Asa definitely remembers having a crush on Davis when she was a kid, but they haven't spoken in so long, so she does not expect him to remember her at all. Turns out he does remember her. He remembers that she loves to drink Dr. Pepper. So that's how they meet when they're snooping on his property trying to find his dad. And although that's the initial plot, the rest of the book really gets taken over by Asa's obsessive compulsive disorder, which is the point because as John Green has described, at least for him, that is how it feels in his life. And he really wanted to use this book to try to figure out how to explain what those thoughts and feelings are like in language, because he talks about how when you try to describe pain, you start using words, but you can never really describe how it feels. And metaphor takes you further away from the feeling. So he tried to display it in the way that he would write the dialogue and how it would switch to italics to be the obsessive thought and then her responding to the obsessive thought and how they were battling in her mind. It was just very impressive. He talked about how difficult it was to figure out how to write it. And I think he did a great job. That was like one of the most fascinating parts about reading this book for sure. It is visceral. It feels like you are in her mind and you feel her suffering of feeling trapped and like you can't get out of those thoughts. So there's that part. And then there's also a subplot of romance between Asa and Davis. And they're both too smart for their own good. So it is like the pinnacle of like two nerds being in love, which is my favorite type of thing ever. I love when characters are smart to the point of being pretentious, and reading that dialogue, there's nothing I love more. I don't know why. I grew up going to a charter STEM school, so I feel like it just reminded me of my peers. I don't know why I love it so much. But yeah, I thought this book was so impressive. I wanted to keep reading to figure out what was going on. So I'm giving it 4.5 stars. Honestly, one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I highly recommend that you guys read it. It feels funny because it's like, yeah, John Green, have you guys ever heard of this little author? Of course I love this. I loved his books when I was a kid. I still love them. And now I get to watch the movie. I forgot about that. It's also pretty short because it is in the young adult category. So now I was trying to figure out what to read next, and it took me quite a second, but I finally landed on A Million Junes by Emily Henry, which is so crazy because you guys probably know I'm a massive Emily Henry fan. I have read all of her rom-coms, all of them twice and some of them 3 times, but I've never read her backlist when she used to write young adult sci-fi novels. And I guess reading a young adult John Green made me want to read this Emily Henry young adult in a random genre that I don't normally read. So I'm now 20% through A Million Junes. It's really cool to see her progression because even on page 1, I was like, wow, her writing has come a long way, and her writing in this is still great and beautiful and beyond what I'm capable of. But it's really cool because my debut novel comes out next year, and I already know there's so many things where I'm like, I'm gonna look back on this and feel how new of a writer I was. But that's the nature of it, and it's kind of cool because one day, hopefully when I publish like a 6th book, I'll be like, wow, I've come a long way. Hopefully that's the case. So it's very fun to see where she came from, where these like beach reads and happy places came from these books first. I'm really liking it so far, but I'm gonna keep reading before I tell you what it's about because still kind of figuring it out, but I do know it's Romeo and Juliet retelling. This is where things start getting a little crazy in a good way. After day 40, I didn't do too many updates until we started flying. So for the first time, we flew to Alaska. From there, we would fly to California and lastly to Hawaii. And in the process, I finished A Million Junes by Emily Henry and started The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. Alaska. Crazy. I am now reading in the bunk bed. 80%. Let's get it. It is day 48. Feels insane. And we made it to Alaska today. Today was the first day that we ever flew, which was a crazy feeling. And this view is unlike anything I've ever seen in my entire life. There are so many trees, and we're staying in this cozy cabin. And I have not reviewed A Million Junes by Emily Henry yet, so I will do that, but I want to tell you about what I'm reading right now. After finishing that book, I kind of just reread excerpts from Beach Read and Funny Story for nostalgia's sake. Sometimes I just read my favorite chapters of books, but I had sampled this book that I saw called The Other Side of Now. I just found it on Goodreads, read the synopsis, and it just sounded very interesting because it's like a magical realism book of what her life could have been if she made a different choice. So I sampled it and was kind of just not able to get into anything, so I would go back to the Emily Henry books. But then over time, before bed, I would just read a few pages of the book, so I'd gotten through 15% of it accidentally like that. And it was just slow at the start for me, but I think it was just because I was in a reading slump. Because today when we got on the plane, I picked it up and read it, and I went from 15% to now 80%, and I have not been able to put it down, and I'm absolutely loving it. I love the setting, and I want to tell you all about it. So I'm gonna keep reading and then let you know what it's about. I wish I could take this home with me. This view is crazy. I can't get over it. Okay, The Other Side of Now follows this woman named Lana Lord. She is this actress in this very cheesy soap opera type of TV show that's very popular. She lives in LA, and basically all the stereotypes of being an actress in LA apply to her. She's got the work done. She has to stay on this diet. I think it's her birthday. She has this party at her house, and everyone is just shallow. Even her boyfriend might be cheating on her, and she just decides, you know what, I've had enough of this, and she's gonna book a spontaneous flight and a cottage Airbnb in Ireland. So she does that. She gets to this cute little cottage. This is where it had me hooked. All before this, I was kind of like, what's going on? I don't really know if I like this or not. It was funny though, I'll give it that. But once she gets to Ireland, she goes to this little pub, and this girl walks in, sits down at the table with her, and acts like she's known her for years. And the guy working behind the bar is also acting very familiar with her, and like they're in some sort of fight, perhaps a breakup of some sort. And so she's just like, okay, what is going on? Why does everyone here in Ireland know me? Turns out she has been dropped into this alternate life where if she had made the choice to go to her dream school in Ireland like she wanted to in high school, this is the life that she would have led. And it's the complete opposite of her life in Hollywood. It's a small town. The living is small and simple, and there is someone from her past who was not alive who in this timeline is alive. Except in this timeline, they're not on speaking terms, and she has no idea why. So there's kind of the mystery of that, and then there's also just her experiencing what this alternate life would be like. And it's so cool because you kind of forget that it's not a romance book. It's kind of written the way that like a fun, lighthearted rom-com would be written, except it's really not about the romance. It's more about this friendship and about her exploring being content in a life that's not in Hollywood. And the setting is just amazing. And it's so fast paced too, because I just want to find out what's going on. Such a random book that I just found on Goodreads, and I haven't been able to put it down all day. I've just been lost in this story, which is just the best when you're traveling. Like on the planes, I forgot I was even flying because I just wanted more time to read my book. So yeah, 80% through that. We only have 2 more states, and I think I'm gonna finish this because I have more flying to do tomorrow. So this is so fun. Reading in Alaska, tomorrow California, and then Hawaii, and loving reading books through it all.
I want a house in the hills I pay big bills for. I ain't got a pocket. I wanna empty out my wallet. I wanna stop motion, stand still.
It is day 49 out of 50. We're in LA, in a castle to be specific. Hello. It is day 50 out of 50 of visiting all 50 states, and we made it to Hawaii. The most beautiful house I've ever seen. This is truly unreal. Like the background noise is the ocean. There's just a screen and then you're basically outside, and it's just so beautiful, and I'm so grateful and excited to be here. In terms of reading, yesterday when I was trying to give an update in LA, Ryan gave me a call and I had to get back to filming, but I was going to say I finished The Other Side of the Door, or that's a Taylor Swift song, The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison, and I can report that book was phenomenal. If you like Ashley Poston, who did 7 Year Slip, magical realism, more women's fiction, but there's also a subplot of romance, probably less romance than an Ashley Poston book, I think you would love this book. The magical realism element of her being in a different world had me turning the page, and I just loved the cozy vibe she set up in Ireland. It was such a good small town with great characters, and I've never seen this theme in Greece so well done in a book. This theme of like looking back at before your life when something tragic happens and just wishing you would have looked at them more with gratitude and hugged them more and done all these things that you should have done with the foresight that you have now, but how it's just not possible for us to even be that grateful with people in our lives all the time because you just have to live, and part of that living is not being worried about the future when you might not have them, which is such a nuanced emotion that I think a lot of people can relate to. It was such a great theme in the book. Like I feel like it was actually just cathartic for me to read, which is something I love so much about fiction. So I would say absolutely give that book a read. I think it would be like a 4.25 star book for me. I'd have to think on it more, but it was so great. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that book. And now I've been reading Perfect Fit by Claire Gilmore. I previously gave her book Love Interest a 5 stars. I read that during the 24-hour reading video in a book hotel with Sarah and Destiny. Such a fun video. And it was like 2 a.m. when I read that book, and I absolutely loved it. So I was very excited for her new release, Perfect Fit, and it's set in Austin, and we're following Josie, who owns her own clothing brand. So the vibes are just so fun. And then the main male love interest, his name is Will Grant. He is an investor, but they actually have history from high school, which we don't really know yet. So there's some natural mystery to it, which I always love, and I'm 20% through that right now, and I'm really getting into it now, and I want to keep reading. I'm kind of on a roll with my books right now, and I'm in Hawaii now, so I'm obviously very excited, and if I have any time to read, I will be taking it. I went to bed this night so excited to wake up to day 50 out of 50, having no idea that tons of our friends flew down to surprise us to celebrate the finale. It was the best day ever. We're so back. We're so back. It's day 52 out of 50, meaning we've been done with the series for 2 days. And if you saw the finale, a bunch of our friends surprised us, which means I'm here with Bree. So let's do a reading update. I am now 38% through Perfect Fit by Claire Gilmore, and I'm really liking the vibes. Let's go. There were some good quotes.
That's truly the best part about the Kindle is how accessible your quotes are, because on a physical book, you have to like see where you highlighted.
This is just a dialogue tag. He just says something random. He says, "Is that what you think about?" He finally asks, like he's holding out a friendship bracelet, waiting to see if I'll put it on.
That's really cute.
That's cute.
That's really cute.
She says, "I don't want us to be a distraction for each other." Will slips his hands into the pockets of his slacks. He laughs briefly, bites his lip, and asks, "Do you plan to stop existing?"
That's really cute. Those are cute little romance dialogues. I'm reading One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, which I feel like is actually the summer romance that everyone is giving the highest of ratings to. So
how far into are you?
You know, A good 5 pages.
What do you think?
I'm liking the vibes because what I'm picking up is the main girl character is a photographer, and I love how the beginning is just her speaking about photography and her eye for that, but I'm literally 5 pages in.
A few hours after this clip, we flew home, and 3 weeks later, we actually got to go to Memphis, Tennessee to visit the St. Jude campus and meet some of the kiddos who had watched the series, and that was seriously like the best part of my entire summer. And although the trip is over, you can always donate to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And in terms of reading, I got about 8 books read, but I'll tell you a little secret. Ryan and I still have 20 minutes left of the Sunrise on the Reaping audiobook. But I couldn't be more grateful for this amazing summer. I'm used to going on adventures while reading all the time, but to actually go on one, that was truly life-changing.